came up after our first episode was about parenting teenagers in this day and age. And so we kind of decided to talk about today. I want to ask Kimberly how it's different to raise a black son, a black teenage boy, versus raising white teenage boys. We both have teenage boys. So that's our question today, is Kimberly, is how do you think it's different for you raising your teenage boy in the city from how it is for me raising my teenage boys in the city?
So, like she said, this is a good question. Raising teenage boys is hard, period. Country, city, no matter where you are, no matter what color they are, teenage boys are a breed of all their own, personally speaking. My son's 17. He's starting his senior year in high school. So as he says, he has 365 days left in my house. So we're working on that. Mama's getting ready. But anywho, I think it's, like I said, I think it's hard to raise a teenage boy, period. I think that I have maybe some greater concerns than perhaps Melanie does, especially with the climate going on right now. It's always been difficult to raise a black man in America or a black young man in America. I think now it's just being highlighted so that the world can see what it looks like, because it's not like it's changed. That's the thing that I need everybody to understand now. Nothing's changed. It's been this way forever, but now other people are being able to see it. So, dating is an issue with teenagers. Chores are an issue with teenagers. Going out wherever it is that you want to go is an issue with teenage boys. What are some of the things, Melanie, that you see with you've got two teenagers?
Right.
16 and 19, correct?
Right. They're 16 and 19. My younger son will be a junior in high school, and my older one is in college. I've always considered myself very overprotective. I let up a lot as they got older, just because I understand I have to do that. They have to live their lives. But I worry always, like not when they're just doing like day-to-day stuff, but yet sometimes just it's the day-to-day stuff where people can get into the most trouble. I always worry though, when they go out, it's like, I always give like, make sure you text me, make sure you're, pay attention to where you are, make sure you know what you're doing, don't get into trouble. If there's something that's going on, call me, I'll come get you no matter what the situation is. And I worry about like all the, the stuff you see on the news and the stuff, I used to work in a hospital, so the pediatric stuff, it's like, oh my gosh, it could just take a minute for everything to go from everything's okay to everything's not okay. But I don't, and I think that, having boys is probably, harder than having girls, but I also think that I probably don't have to worry about it quite as much as you do when my teenage boys leave my house. I mean, I don't have an expectation that they're not going to come back, or that something really bad is going to happen to them. Like, I know it could if they're stupid, but not if they're just walking down the street being themselves. You know what I mean? And I feel like, yeah, yeah. And I feel like that's kind of a thing. And I remember hearing a few years back, somebody, and I cannot remember who it was, or maybe I read it, told me that if your white sons have black friends, and if anything goes wrong with the black friend, do not leave your black friend. And I have told my boys that, and they're like, well, of course we wouldn't, Mom. And I'm like, don't run, don't leave him, because if you're there, chances are things will work out okay. But if you take off and you leave that boy there, he's screwed. So don't leave him. And I know my boys, wouldn't, because they're just not that kind of kids. But I think it's not even, I think it's just the instinct for a lot of kids might just be, oh my God, we're in trouble, let's run. And my kids know not to do that for a variety of reasons, but specifically, like, if you're with a friend who's black, do not leave him. at
You know
this.
what? I think I posted that a couple of
Did
years
you?
ago.
Maybe it was
I
you.
think it was
Yeah,
me.
maybe it was
Yeah, yeah,
you. Maybe it was
It's
you.
like if your son is with my son, please tell your son it's not okay to
Yeah.
walk away.
It
Yeah,
might have been
yeah,
you.
I do remember posting that one. Yep. Good memory.
It
Good
stuck
memory.
with me, and I remember, and I've talked about this like many times with both of them and with other parents, and it's such a strong message that, I mean, I don't think that they would think to run, but on the other hand, I could see where a kid in general would just go like, oh, we're in trouble, let's get out of here. You know?
Well, here's the thing, all kids will run. And that's the scariest part. That's the part where you're like, hey, police, if you see a group of children and young, let's just call them young people, just young people. Anybody young, when they're afraid, they run. That's what they do. They've been doing it since they were 2. It's like, are you licking the spoon from the cake? It's like, throw it. No, I'm not. It's not me. Run. And that's just natural instinct. And now, unfortunately, well, not now. I'm not even going to say now. Now it's being filmed. Let me put it that way. Now it's being filmed that when people run because they're afraid and have good reason to be afraid, they're getting shot in the back.
Well, right, and
They're
that's
getting shot in the head. They're getting shot in the face by the police, by strangers, by whoever. I mean, just recently the man was jogging. You're supposed to be running when you're jogging. That's kind of the point of jogging.
Right.
And he ran through our town. Well, that's what you do when you jog. You go from one place to another through an area. I mean,
you have to worry about that. You should just be like, I'm doing my thing. And I mean, I don't worry if I go out to do something. I mean, I suppose I should, but I also know better not than to go jogging in the park at night or at 6 o'clock in the morning or whatever by myself. But actually, I would never go jogging, but that's beside the point. But
if you were.
No, but I think like there was a situation with one of my son's friends, and some friends got in trouble, and the police said, why didn't you guys run? And the kids were like, why would we run? And the police were like, why didn't you just run? We could have saved all of us this trouble. And my son told me the story, and I'm like, well, if they had run, what could have happened to them? And I think the officer actually made a comment like, you guys are white, why didn't you run? And that made me sick, first of all. And second of all, to think, like, what if those boys had run and the officers didn't know they were white and made a bad move? I'm like, those kids could have been shot because they ran. And I'm like, nope, they did the right thing by staying and, dealing with the consequence. But either way, you could be screwed, whether you stay and deal with the consequences or whether you run. Either way. So it's hard to know what to do.
Well, and for that to come out of the police mouths just exacerbates white privilege. And that's kind of the point of our conversations. There's a big difference. If your sons ran, they'd say, oh, those kids, shucks, they're running because they're scared. If my kid runs, they're gonna, and I know my son, if he were to run, he'd be on the phone like, Mom, I'm running. Mom, I'm running. And so, now you've called his cell phone a gun.
Right.
And now you shot my AB student on the debate team. And you know what I mean? You don't know these things about him. You don't know he's a good kid. You don't know he's had, straight A's since kindergarten until, you know what I mean? Or
can't they assume? Right, and why can't you assume that that's what he is? Why can't you assume if you see it?
Right, why does he have a target on his chest? Why does he have a target on his back? Why does he have a target on his forehead? And how many people does he have a target from when he walks out the door? As a 7th grader, he told me, he's like, Mom, I'm gonna take the subway with my friends. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're absolutely not getting on the red line. That's the one train that connects everybody. I don't want you around. No, that's not happening. I can do it. I'm a big boy, 7th grade, right? I can do it. I'm a big boy. No one's going to kidnap me. It's like, dude, that's not our conversation anymore. I'm not worried about you getting kidnapped anymore. I mean, kind of, but
right.
You're bigger than people who would want to kid. Sex slavery, maybe, I don't know, but not kidnapping. And I was like, and plus, you've been in a car your whole life. getting dropped off and picked up. You don't know how to dress for the train. You don't know how to layer up. You don't know how to wait for 2 hours and the train doesn't come. You have no idea what to do. You're not getting on the train. And so, now I have to, like you said, overprotective, absolutely. That's 18 years worth of hard work upstairs.
Right.
The whole pregnancy, the whole drinking milk, all that, that's mine. And I put into it what I expect to get out of it. And nobody knows that better than the moms.
Right.
You've got a wonderful kid who's well loved. And everybody that you've seen on these tapes, somebody loved them. Right. Somebody, that was somebody's son, that was somebody's brother, that was somebody's father, that was somebody's uncle, that was somebody's man. I just saw something actually this morning, something in Wisconsin. I don't know when it happened. It might have been an old tape.
John, it happened last night. I just watched the video.
Was that it? Oh, I don't watch the news, and this is why I don't watch the news. I can't stand stuff like that. It makes me just want to be sick.
I took a right if I wanted to watch the video.
Then it was, why didn't he comply? Well, apparently he was trying to get away from getting shot, but he got shot anyway. No, and there were children in the car, I heard.
Yeah, they shot him point blank in the back, and he was walking, and
they held his shirt.
They held his shirt, and they shot him. Yeah, and he's alive, thank goodness, and hopefully he'll be all right. Yeah. By the way, my kids ride the red line. Just to kind of backtrack a little bit. Yeah, and I don't take the train. I've taken the train like so few times in my entire life. I could count on two hands how many times I've taken the train. And my kids, when they wanted to go places, they're like, well, our friends know how to take the train. I'm like, okay, then go be kids and be safe and text me when you get there. And they do. And I can't even address
where do they go? Let me be devil's advocate and ask you, where do they go? Because for the viewers who don't know, I live in Hyde Park. She lives in Lincoln Park.
Yeah.
So
they go to each other's houses. Like
so north. They're going north.
A lot of my son's friends live up north by where he goes to school. So, and his girlfriend lives up there. So, or they might go downtown. Like they've taken it like down to the, like downtown, like for school projects or just things.
Right. You're not crossing Roosevelt Road.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I think we're still like in the north side.
South Loop to north side. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And therein lies some of the difference too. And that's also an issue. My son goes and play. First of all, I had to allow my child to go play with his friends outside.
Yeah.
And that was hard because I'm like, no. Can I go play basketball? No. Can I go do this? No. And then I said, oh my God, I got to start letting him go because then he's going to be weird. He won't know how to do these normal things that people should know how to do. And then it's like, all right, well, here's the speech. Let me give you the speech. When you go outside, be careful of this, be careful of that, be careful of him, be careful of her. Don't stay away from the vans. And if the police come, there's a whole tape we can do on that. But the conversation had to be had on what to do if the police stop you and ask you a question, and here are some names that you can drop in the event that it happens. And luckily we have a couple of names we can drop, But it came to my attention not long ago. It's like, Mom, you know how many times the police have just driven up on the basketball court through the park and told everybody to go stand over here or even get in the car? I'm like, you didn't get in the car. He's like, I had to get in the car. I'm like, but you can't unlock the door in the car. Like, you can't get out. Yeah. And he was like, I know. He's like, it was a chance I had to take and get in the car. And I think, as a parent, I'm like, oh God, you got in the back of a police car. They could have driven you anywhere. They could have done anything. It could have gone wrong so many different ways.
Right. Oh my God.
But, those are some of the fears I have about raising my Black son. My newest fear is, where are you going to go to college?
Yeah.
What school will you go to? And will it be safe for you once you're out of my care and off in, the wild somewhere? you know, doing, and what talent you
and I had the same fear, and you know, I know my kids, I know what they will and won't do, but I don't have to worry about it because of what they look like. I just have to worry about it because they are people, and then because I'm no longer in control of what time you're coming home, where are you going to be, who are you with, I just drove you there, now I'm going to pick you up. They're, you know, but I worry about it because I'm a mom, but I'm not worried about it because of what they look like.
And see, I worry about their roommates.
Yeah.
I worry about whether they go to Harvard versus Howard. What's the difference going to be if he goes to an HBCU where I can relax a little bit? I worry about what town the school is going to be in. What's the racial demographics of the town? What's the, you know, is it a sheriff or is it, you know, a whole CPD unit, you know, something that's bigger. You know, you have a town sheriff, and it's making me cringe as the applications come in. Like, he's like, hey, what if I go here? I'm like, if you want to, I guess. No. Subliminal, no.
This many hours away because this is how far I'll drive, and I really want you to stay nearby, and which one has, you know, the program we want, who's going to give you the most financial aid. And that was kind of it, you know. It was visit schools and pick what you like, and then lay them all out and make decisions. And we stayed close by, which works well for me, but again, for different, still a lot of the same reasons. I feel like, you know, you're a mom of the heart like I am, so there's a lot of the same reasons. But yeah, and people, yeah, I can't even, I can't imagine it. I've watched so many things on TV that are real, and movies and things, and it's just like every single time it just rips my heart out to think that it has to be this way, because it doesn't have to be this way. It shouldn't be this way. We should do better.
It shouldn't. It's been this way forever.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, thank God, cell phones are out, video cameras are out.
Yeah.
Thank God it reached you. You know, thank God it reached you. Thank God it reached people like you. Yeah. Thank God it reached your friends. Because we all know far too well, it's touched us as a group from our high school already. Right. You know, we've already had instances. I'm not putting anybody on blast, so let me retract some of that, but we know who, and they know who, and yes, I mean you, love you. But yes, that's a whole nother show.
Yeah.
But even, I mean, I remember as far back as when Bill Cosby's son got killed changing a tire. And that was like kind of the first time it went on the news. You know what I mean? Like, what? This can happen? It's like, yeah, that's been happening. But the fact that it touched Bill Cosby's son was like, what? You know, what are you doing in this car? Why are you here? Why are you, you know, it's like, I don't want to be here. I have a flat.
Right.
You know, but we've been having conversations, my son and I, about where he's going to go for college. And I remember when I was in college, I went to an HBCU. So I was a proud Howard grad, woohoo. But I know people who didn't go to an HBCU, and they're like, you know, if I was getting an A in the class, I got a C, because it was a racist university. And I won't blast the university out either, but yeah, happened all the time. And it happened a lot. And I'm like, yeah, sorry, I can't relate. For the first time ever, I'm like, oh, sorry, I can't relate. Yeah, no, that doesn't happen. You know, it didn't happen at my university because it was HBCU. So now I have to worry, you know, when my son goes to school, is that what I think that's going to happen? Is he going to have to work that much harder to try to get an A and get a C?
Right.
you know, and then those will be his first C's. They'll be like, what? A C? No. So there's that.
So you can just get, while you're getting used to, I think the first semester of anything should be thrown out, but that's because they're just trying to get used to where they are, for high school, college. It's like first semester doesn't count. It does, unfortunately, but if I were in charge, which I'm not, it wouldn't count. Anyway.
It'd be a better world.
I think
can't wait to be in charge of the world one day.
I know, right? I would do such a good job of being in charge of the world. Anyway, well, this has been a great conversation. I'm sure there's like way more. We could probably talk about this for hours and hours and hours. Thank you, everybody who's come back to listen to us again. If you want to email us a question, we are at honeste, that's capital letter E or lowercase e, at discussions, honestediscussions@gmail.com. Send us a question or send us something you want to tell us or ask us, and we can either email you back or we might bring the question on to another episode. Anything else, Kimberly?
Just have a great week. Stay safe.
Thanks, everyone.